You were fired from The View. I think we all were. Like, you...
I mean, duh, everybody gets... Allegedly, he was cheating while Melania was pregnant.
That was all. That's not going to come in front of the jury, though. The judge has ruled that won't come up.
We're on television now. And then after Melania gave birth to the baby, he found Stormy to strip around with, right?
Yeah.
It's like people should look at him and say, you know, what kind of an insecure jerk are you? You know what I mean? It's like, oh, my wife's pregnant. I'm not attracted to her big belly or something. And now she's paying attention to the baby and not me.
Joy Behar, once the loudest voice on The View, is now at the center of a jaw-dropping scandal that's rocking the entertainment world to its core. It all exploded when reports surfaced that Joy was stopped at the airport, allegedly trying to flee the country before facing a $250 million lawsuit brought by none other than Karoline Leavitt. Yes, you read that right, $250 million. And it's not just the money that's shocking, it's the betrayal, the arrogance, and the attempt to escape it all without facing the consequences. The story blew open after Joy made a highly controversial comment about Leavitt on live TV, a comment so out of line it set social media on fire within minutes. Instead of debating policy or addressing facts, Joy went low, insinuating that Leavitt only got her job because of her appearance. That remark wasn't just mean, it was dangerous. Outrage didn't take long to erupt. People from all political sides were stunned, calling out Behar's hypocrisy.
To the cackling witch herself, Joy Behar from The View, whose jealousy is something to behold. Here is her assessment of Trump's new White House press secretary, Karoline Leavitt.
I think she's probably been put in there because, according to Donald Trump, she's a 10. You know that's what it is.
I want to be clear, though, it's not her first job. It was her first press briefing. She worked in the previous Trump administration.
The ever-empowering feminist, Joy herself, everyone. And this is why, of course, she's on The View and not working for the most powerful man in the world, because Karoline would wipe the floor with you bitter banshees any day.
I mean, how dare she objectify a woman with a sexist rating system, but it's such a typical thing from a 1.5.
How could a self-proclaimed feminist reduce another woman to her looks? Within hours, Karoline Leavitt's legal team took action. They filed a massive defamation lawsuit, accusing Joy of deliberately damaging Leavitt's career and credibility in front of millions. The amount? A staggering $250 million. Not just a slap on the wrist. This was a knockout punch, a full frontal legal assault on one of daytime TV's biggest personalities. While the legal papers were being drafted, Joy Behar acted like nothing happened. But behind the scenes, insiders say she was panicking and plotting her next move. And then it happened. The part nobody saw coming. Joy allegedly booked a one-way flight to Italy just as the lawsuit was about to hit the public. TSA agents, reportedly tipped off in advance, were already watching her. Eyewitnesses claim they saw Behar being pulled aside at the gate, shocked, speechless, and cornered. Within hours, social media was buzzing with photos and blurry videos showing Joy surrounded by law enforcement. Is that really Joy Behar being detained? One shocked witness posted. The answer was yes.
Goldberg chimed in too, suggesting Leavitt only got her job because of wokeness.
Oh.
Yeah, I would like this young lady this is her first job, I would like her to do a little homework. Because she said something yesterday that really pissed me off. And that was, she said, there will be no wokeness here.
Oh, yeah.
Let me explain something to you. Because without that wokeness, you might not have that job.
This country that we're in was settled by indigenous people, right? And yet they named the country after an Italian white man. Amerigo Vespucci.
Yeah.
That's what America is named after. Amerigo Vespucci, a white European. Why is it named after a white man?
Well, let me ask you.
Everybody gets fired from the View. I was on a cruise when Bill Getty called me and said that you were no longer there.
I believe in getting fired because you don't have to make the big decision of giving up the money. That's basically it. You know, when I got the axe, first of all, they came to my room. They looked at me and I said, "Am I being fired?" And they went, "Mm-hmm." And I said, "Yes, good. I really wanted to get out."
Joy Behar, once the queen of sass and sarcasm, was now the center of an airport scandal that sent the media into a tailspin. ABC had no choice but to respond. Their internal sources
were in full panic mode as the public demanded answers and advertisers began jumping ship. By the end of the day, the network issued a terse, cold statement. Joy Behar is no longer affiliated with The View. Just like that, decades of TV history were erased. The fallout was massive. Viewers who once cheered her on were now divided, some stunned into silence, others cheering her downfall with popcorn in hand. Karoline Leavitt didn't hold back either. Her team released a public statement saying, "We will not tolerate public figures using their platform to smear young women working in public service." Support poured in for Leavitt, with politicians, celebrities, and legal experts calling her response powerful, principled, and long overdue. Meanwhile, Joy's inner circle reportedly urged her to stay quiet, but the damage was already done. There was no walking this one back. With her career hanging by a thread and her reputation in tatters, Joy now faces the biggest fight of her life, and Karoline Leavitt isn't backing down for a second. The media circus only grew louder as more details surfaced. Sources close to the situation claimed Joy had been desperate to get out of the country before the lawsuit exploded publicly.
Joy thought she could just vanish for a few weeks and let the storm pass, one insider said. She didn't expect to be stopped at the gate by federal agents. The moment those photos hit the internet, everything changed. Overnight, Joy Behar went from talk show royalty to tabloid disaster, and people couldn't stop talking about it. News outlets rushed to cover the unfolding drama. Every channel, every headline, every podcast seemed to be shouting the same thing. Joy Behar detained. Lawsuit chaos. And while the TV world crumbled around her, Karoline Leavitt was calm, poised, and laser-focused. Her team made it clear. They weren't just suing for money. They were demanding accountability. Leavitt's spokesperson boldly declared, "This is not about fame or revenge. It's about standing up to bullies who think their celebrity shields them from consequences."
My manager put the information on Deadline Hollywood.
Yeah.
The next day, Diane Sawyer announces it on World News Tonight. It's like, okay, Putin and Joy Behar. So crazy. Why? So then Barbara saw it, and they announced it before I could announce it on The View.
Right.
So that Monday, she said to me, "You've been here so many years, you could have announced it on The View." And I said, "Well, when your book was out, you announced it on Oprah." And she said, "Two wrongs don't make a right."
Fans of Leavitt rallied online. Hashtags like Stand with Karoline and Joy Behar lawsuit were trending for days, with users praising her courage to fight back. Meanwhile, The View was in free fall. Viewers tuned out, advertisers pulled their dollars, and staff reportedly began to worry the entire show might be on the chopping block. Executives held emergency meetings. Joy Behar was supposed to be an asset, one staffer said. Now she's a full-blown liability, and nobody wants their name tied to her. Even longtime co-hosts distanced themselves. Some said they were shocked by Joy's comments. Others stayed silent, terrified of being caught in the crossfire. As Joy was questioned by authorities, rumors swirled about her mental state. She didn't think it would go this far, one source said. She thought she could talk her way out of it, like always. But this wasn't just a TV scandal anymore, it was a federal situation. Lawyers, investigators, and PR teams were now tangled in a legal and public relations nightmare. Leavitt's legal complaint made things even worse. It spelled out, in excruciating detail, how Joy's remark had caused irreparable harm to her career, public image, and professional credibility. The document even cited Joy's history of inflammatory comments, showing this wasn't a one-time slip. It was a pattern of reckless behavior. Legal experts weighed in across the networks. If Joy loses this case, one attorney said, she's not just paying damages, she could be financially ruined. And what about her legacy? The woman who once claimed to fight for equality was now being accused of tearing down another woman on national TV. The irony was too much for many to ignore. She's been preaching about empowerment for years, one viewer posted. And then she goes and says that? Shameful. As more footage resurfaced of Joy making controversial remarks in the past, the backlash snowballed. People began asking, was this just the tip of the iceberg? And through it all, Karoline Leavitt didn't blink. She gave interviews, appeared on podcasts, and made one thing crystal clear. She was not afraid of Joy Behar or anyone else. With the courtroom showdown looming and Joy's public image in tatters, it seemed there was no escape left. The storm had arrived, and Joy was right in the eye of it. Joy Behar, once untouchable, is now scrambling behind closed doors.
I think she's probably been put in there because, according to Donald Trump, she's a 10. You know that's what it is.
I want to be clear, though, it's not her first job. It was her first press briefing. She worked in the previous Trump administration.
Insiders whisper that her team is begging for a settlement, terrified of what could happen if this goes to trial. But Karoline Leavitt isn't playing games. We're not looking for hush money, her legal team declared. We're looking for justice, and we're going all the way. Social media hasn't let up either. Clips of Behar's comment are being shared millions of times, each retweet dragging her deeper into the pit of public outrage. Fans once loyal to The View are turning their backs in record numbers. Joy's silence is deafening. For a woman who made a career out of saying anything, she's now saying nothing, and the public is noticing. And yet, the pressure keeps building. Every time Joy steps out in public, paparazzi swarm, reporters yell questions, and headlines follow her like a shadow. She can't hide forever, a top attorney remarked. If she thinks this will blow over, she's in for a rude awakening when she takes the stand. Meanwhile, Karoline Leavitt continues to lead with grace under fire. Her supporters are growing by the hour, and even critics are starting to admit she's handled this with class and conviction. Some say this isn't just about Joy anymore. It's about the culture of daytime TV, the hypocrisy of media elites, and the battle for real accountability. There's a reckoning happening, one media watchdog group stated. The days of powerful voices speaking without consequences are over. People across the country are watching this case unfold like a primetime thriller, and many are hoping Joy finally answers for what she said. And as the court date inches closer, the stakes grow higher. Will Joy show up and fight, or will she try to disappear again, only to face even more humiliation? The tension is building, the lawyers are circling, the media is watching, and Karoline Leavitt isn't just holding her ground, she's marching straight into the storm. Karoline Leavitt arrived early, looking calm, confident, and ready to face down the media storm that Joy helped create. Her supporters cheered, chanting, "Stand with Karoline," as she walked in with purpose. Meanwhile, Joy's entrance was far from triumphant. Dressed in black and wearing dark sunglasses, she looked like a shadow of her former self, silent, tense, and visibly shaken. As the proceedings began, courtroom insiders described the atmosphere as electric. Joy's legal team looked uneasy, while Karoline's lawyers were locked in with laser focus.
So, how How you feel?
I'll start.
Yeah, go ahead.
My takeaway is that the system works. We live in a democracy. People spoke. This is what people wanted. I vehemently disagree with the decision that Americans made, but I feel very, very hopeful that we have a democratic system in this country. We should value it. We should love it. We should protest if the situation arises.
Evidence was presented, including the original broadcast footage, social media responses, and expert testimony on the damage inflicted by Joy's remark. Every clip, every headline, displayed for all to see. When Karoline took the stand, the room fell silent. She spoke clearly, passionately about how that single moment on television attempted to erase years of hard work and dedication. "I wasn't hired for my looks," she told the court. "I was hired because I earned it, and no woman should be reduced to anything less than her full potential, especially by another woman." The gallery erupted with emotion. Gasps, nods, even quiet applause could be heard as Leavitt finished her statement and stepped down. Head high, voice steady. Joy never took the stand. Her lawyers claimed she was not emotionally prepared to testify, a move critics quickly labeled cowardly and evasive. And then came the verdict. The jury took less than a day to decide, and when they returned, their decision was clear. Joy Behar was liable for defamation. The courtroom was stunned. The judge confirmed the full amount, $250 million in damages, making it one of the most expensive personal lawsuits in television history. Joy stood frozen, unable to speak, as the verdict echoed through the chamber. Her face flushed, her hands trembling. There was no spin to save her now. Outside, the media exploded once again. Reporters shouted, cameras flashed, and headlines screamed, "Joy Behar loses big in defamation case." Karoline Leavitt walked out victorious, smiling, composed, and surrounded by supporters chanting her name like a political rally. In her final press statement, Leavitt said, "This was never about revenge. It was about setting the record straight. No woman should ever be mocked or discredited for doing her job." Joy, on the other hand, left through a back entrance, avoiding cameras, avoiding questions, and avoiding the reality of a career that may never recover. ABC swiftly released a new statement confirming Joy Behar would not return to any platform affiliated with the network. Her decades-long television reign was officially over. Meanwhile, Karoline Leavitt's popularity soared. Talk shows, news networks, and political commentators began to openly speculate. Was she headed for higher office? What started as an insult on daytime TV ended as a national turning point. A moment where arrogance was crushed by accountability and one woman's strength changed everything. And now the world watches as Joy Behar fades into scandal and silence, while Karoline Leavitt rises into a spotlight she never asked for, but fully earned.